When talking about cities with shocking stories, Chernobyl often comes to mind, a location that suffered one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. But there is a little known story about Russia, a secret city which began as a paradise, but no one could speak of it. Considered as a utopia in the era of the Soviet Union, it ended up becoming hell on earth. Today, we're going to take a look at the secret city in Russia known as City 40. In 1945, City 40, or Ozersk, was founded. The city was located in Russia and it was a paradise for its time. Scientists, engineers, and others with high level of intelligence were transported to this location. Most of them worked in a plant or factory and would live in the city. The inhabitants of City 40 had to abide several rules, including they could only leave the city with special permission. They could not tell anyone about life within City 40, otherwise they could be accused of treason. The people who lived outside of the city created rumors about the nature of that place. Some believed that it was an underground city and that it was filled with riches. But the entrance of visitors was forbidden and the city was surrounded by walls. But what was City 40 really? As time passed, the first inhabitants of the city began to reproduce. The children grew up in a place that resembled a paradise on earth. Because of the high degree of security, there was no crime. The city never lacked any food, even though the rest of the country was low on most basic supplies. That was never the case in City 40. The inhabitants lived a very happy life and were grateful to be in such a place. Besides the fact that the city was prepared with shelters in the event of a nuclear war, it almost was a perfect city. The city did not appear in any map, and all forms of communication with the outside world was forbidden. It was the most secret city in the whole country, and maybe even the world. It came to be inhabited by more than 80,000 people, but something strange began to happen. Many of them began to die, the young and the old alike. The inhabitants of City 40 did not know it, but their paradise had just become a nightmare. The true nature of this city was a chilling one. After the United States launched their nuclear bomb in Hiroshima, the Soviet Union decided to build their own bombs. So they decided to build a factory where the materials for these bombs would be produced, and at the same time, they could work on building the bombs. Near this factory, they built a city where the scientists and experts of the country would live in. This said city was the City 40. During the Cold War, various nuclear bombs were tested, both from the Soviet Union and the United States. Many of those who lived in the city did not know what was happening, but others say that their work was important and they would create a nuclear shield to protect their country. But what many have feared had happened. Due to an error in one of the plants, radioactive material was released into the air. Little did they imagine that these particles would cause the end of their paradise. People began to die from various diseases due to radiation poisoning. At first, nobody knew what was happening, but little by little, the scientists in the city understood that it was condemned, and that the death of its people was inevitable. The existence of City 40 was not acknowledged until 1994. To this day, it continues to be a somewhat secret city whose entrance is forbidden to visitors. It became a ghost town. Surprisingly, some people still live in that place. Many of them have health problems related to radioactivity, but they live a relatively peaceful life. This city that was once a paradise had become what many called it, the City of Death. The inhabitants of City 40 are revered as heroes. It's thanks to them that the nuclear shield was developed and protected their country, but at the cost of many people's health or even their lives. The most chilling thing about this nuclear city is that it is not the only one in the country. There are other secret cities created for similar purposes. It is shocking to know that there are still cities like City 40 dedicated to the creation of nuclear weapons, and that their existence are surrounded by secrets, and that the lives of thousands of people, maybe even ours, are also at risk. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, assume nothing and question everything.